Welcome everyone to this year's senior presidential debate. The following four people are your candidates for the president and vice president positions on the 2017 to 2018 Senior Council: Claire Stevens, Bianca Antonio, Savion Garcia, and Jackie Tanho. Today's discussion will begin with four planned questions, but unfortunately one of the candidates, Jackie Tanho, has fallen ill and will submit her responses via video recording, which will be included for the BTV recording of this debate. After this first planned section of the debate, we will open the floor to questions from the audience, which will go on to the end of lunch. Are we ready? Let's begin. The first question will be answered by Bianca Antonio, Savion Garcia, and Claire Stevens in that order. People often call our batch unspirited. How will you address this during our last Bob, where seniors have traditionally won the Spirit Award?
Okay, so I personally don't think that our grade isn't spirited. I think we're just spirited in another way. Because usually spirit for Bob, it's cheering for your grade and cheering for other grades as well. But we're spirited in a way that we want our grade to perform the best that we can, which is why we perform well within the events. So I guess a way to turn that around and have the seniors win the Spirit Award tradition is to just let the other grades know that we're spirited in that way, and just channel it in another way. But I don't think that we're not spirited. I think we're just spirited in our own unique way. But then we should do it in a way that lets the other grades know that as well.
Okay, so I believe that the best way to make sure that our grade is as spirited as possible is to reinforce the idea that this is our last year. This is the last year that, and we have to make it count. In the sense that we have to reinforce this ideology that we can't take any more second chances. We've had 3 years to do it, and this is our last opportunity to give all we've got. And in our grade specifically, the way we show our spirit is through the way we play the sports, which is why I think we should also not only show the spirit through constant cheering just for the sake of cheering. That shouldn't be how it should be. It should be, in a sense of making sure that you're cheering genuinely for your peers and making sure that they have a chance to do well in their events.
I actually really agree with Bianca on the fact that our grade actually is not unspirited. I actually do think that they are spirited, but I think that the the 3 past years with, I guess some would say, poor spirit performance at Bob might have been due to lack of student voice in decisions made by the council regarding Bob, or maybe they weren't happy with the choices that had been made by the council. So I think that it's important next year for the council to include more voices from the students, make sure that the students feel like they're having their own voices heard. In writing the chant, more students should be a part of that because they've had the chant written for them these past few years, and usually they haven't really been happy with that. So I think that next year it's really important that the whole grade has a say in what goes down at Bob, and maybe then we'll have a better chance of winning tradition.
Yes, I agree. I think spirit is something our batch should really work on. But honestly, I really think that the senior hype and the sentimental aspects of being a senior will really completely change our mindset. So obviously, I'm sure we'd all want to have a memorable last year, and I think we'd all want to leave an impact. So I think my part, if I'm elected to council, is just to further boost the confidence of our batchmates and encourage them and really emphasize that this is our last year, and this is really just our last year to excel as one whole in unity.
The second question will be answered by Savion Garcia, Claire Stevens, and Bianca Antonio in that order. What are you most eager to improve upon or accomplish for our grade through council?
Okay, so something that I believe that should be improved upon is this idea of unity within our grade. Sometimes a lot of our grade is very cliquey, and we don't often get to talk to other people that we apart from in school, in our classes. I think a way that we could improve on that is to just be able to open yourself up to conversation with other people that you see in the hallway, just a quick hi or just a quick nod and saying hello. Something also that I want to improve on within next year is actually what I based my poster upon, is the idea of simplicity and positivity. So in my poster, it's just a drawing of a smiley face with the glasses. So this idea of like making senior year not as overcomplicated as the past 2 years that we've had, and making sure that everyone has a smile on their face through the heartbreaks of college and everything that all the bad things that we're going through, like IB, and making sure that we're all like happy in our final year.
I also agree. I want to enforce this idea of unity and stop believing in this idea that everyone is competing against one another, because this is high school. We're not competing against one another. We're all just one batch trying to do the best we can. And I think that next year I really want to enforce the idea of unity as a batch, and the fact that you want everybody to succeed. You don't want to be the best out of everybody. You want everybody to be the best that they can. And I think it's really important that we enforce that. And hopefully that'll really boost the morale for events like Bob, or just general morale, the belief in the batch as one.
Yeah, similar to them, I also think that unity is really important, because especially going into our last year, I think that to be as successful as we can be as a batch, we all really need to work together and help each other, and not, like what Claire said, be against each other. But also something that I want to improve on is that our batch is pretty different from the other batches, and sometimes we try to be like them, but then since it's like our last year, like we should just try to be like how we are as a batch. Like we shouldn't try to act more spirited like the other batches, because that's just like not who we are as a batch. So then I think that we should like embrace our characteristics as a batch and like try to build upon that instead of acting like something else.
I think I'm most eager to improve again on unity and harmony within our batch. So if I'm elected to council, I really want to motivate my peers to achieve the best of their capabilities, to achieve their full potential, and inspire others to just remove challenges that hinder success. So therefore, together, we as a whole grade can work together as one towards success, such as in events like Bob, perhaps. So yes, I believe together we can motivate each other, and I think I can really help start that unity chain through my motivating, positive, and energetic attitude.
The third question will be answered by Claire, Bianca, and Savion. What is something unique that you as an individual can offer if elected?
Okay. Sure, I'm organized. Sure, I have decent time management skills, and sure, I'm spirited and all that. But I think the one thing that really sets me apart from some other candidates is this passion that I have for everybody in our grade doing just competing at the best level that they can, or not competing, but trying to achieve to their full potential, because I believe that each and every one of us as an individual have just so much potential to go far, and I really hope that if elected, I know that I have the ability to really embrace this individuality and try to push everybody to reach their full potential in our final year of high school.
Okay, so something that I think is unique about me is that I'm a pretty good listener, and like with listening, I can like take in a lot of advices and like be open to anything, and that makes a positive outcome, as it's not just like one-sided or biased. But then in addition to that, I also feel like I have a pretty good ability in taking those ideas and actually converting them into actions, because even though you're like a good listener and you have a lot of ideas, they don't really matter unless you actually act upon them. So I feel like even though my time management is not the best, I have like enough determination and passion to turn those good ideas into actual actions.
I think what sets me apart from the other candidates is this idea of my sense of calm and collectiveness under pressure, which is a valuable asset in terms of next year, especially when we're moving into senior year. As during senior year, the workload is about double the intensity of how we are doing now, and we are all struggling as a collective batch. I believe that I am able to balance my responsibilities. Shown through these past 2 years of being in council, I have the experience. I believe that I have the experience to balance the responsibilities of extracurriculars and academics together, in order to not halter myself in terms of my academics, but also not take away from helping out the grade in terms of Bob and all of the events that happened during with regards to senior council.
So, something unique that I as an individual can bring is my extreme hyperness and happiness. It's important that council has a positive individual so that the grade is not afraid to voice out their opinions and concerns to the council members, which I will definitely take into account. And I think my happy attitude can really relieve stress, and especially in this rough world of IB. And that can really greatly benefit the well being of our batchmates, which I believe is very important. Um, so, and with this happy attitude of mine, I will be able to further build a comfortable and open relationship with my batchmates.
The last question will be answered by Bianca, Savion, and Claire. What is the most important lesson that you have learned about leadership through your personal experience?
Okay, so I think the most important thing about leadership is actually cooperating, because if you have a good leader, say like a good president, then like you really have to work hard to like work together with your other cabinet members and your like VP and your president. So like everyone just has to work together in order to ensure a good outcome, because the responsibilities of council doesn't just rely on one person, it relies on all five of them. And I believe that all five of them have to make sure they're doing their jobs in order to ensure a good outcome.
I think one big lesson that I've learned throughout these few years about leadership is this idea of go big or go home, basically. So if you're gonna go for something, if you're gonna like do a project, if you're gonna do a Saturday service, if you're gonna go for Bob, the ideas that you have in your head, you have to go all out and not have a sense of conservation about like not wanting to do it. You got if you have any doubts about it, make sure that the thing that I've learned is that you have to talk with the council and also with the grade to make sure that when we go into that final day, when we go into that like final day in Bob, we make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and that we go full spirit and with as much enthusiasm as possible.
I believe that the biggest and most important lesson that I've learned throughout years of leadership is the fact that you cannot please everybody, and the best you can do is focus on the needs of the many rather than the needs of the few. For example, Bianca and I are organizing prom this year, and oh my goodness, you would not believe how many haters there are on every single thing that you do. But you have to know that in the end, what you're doing is best for everybody because you're trying your best to get everyone's voice heard. And that's really all that you can do. So next year, for sure, we're going to try to get everybody's voice heard, definitely. And try to focus on the fact or the idea of making each decision based on the needs of the many rather than what some certain people may have to say. Yeah.
So for me, the best leadership style is that I've discovered in my 2 years of being in council is that you really need to have a good balance between being assertive and being respectful and open-minded to the ideas of our batchmates. So it's essential that we have a group dynamic as well. Yes, so it's good that leaders should be firm and bold, that they should be unafraid to take initiative and make decisions because this will lead to efficiency in the batch and lead to success. But I've learned that in being part of council that people are just more comfortable connecting with a leader who is more humble and compassionate. So I think to be a good leader, you really need a good balance between both being assertive and being open-minded.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our planned questions section. Members of the audience may now ask any questions they may have. Once a question is asked, I will pick on candidates who raise their hand ready with an answer, and only 2 candidates will be allowed to answer each question. So does anyone have any questions?
Anything new you guys want to do during assembly this year? Because sometimes, you know how it dies out a little bit. You have to come up with frantic ideas. Is there anything new that you want to implement?
Okay, Xavion and Bianca.
Okay, so we did this once only this year, which is this idea of study hall during a GLA, because of the fact that it's senior year and because of the fact that there's a much harder workload, I think I could try, if I am in council, try to like reason next year to have just a few more study halls. It seems, because other grades feel like maybe we're being lazy by just providing study halls, but some people really need it in our grades. Some people are actually struggling. Some people don't have study halls, to be honest, because of TOK. So I think it's not necessarily new, but it's something that I think we could add upon for next year.
Yeah, I had the same exact idea. So yeah, like for someone who doesn't have study halls this semester, I feel like it's really, really hard to balance, especially coming towards the end of exams and like all our last year assessments. So I feel like implementing study halls as an assembly would be really, really helpful.
Since we're seniors and you said we have a lot of workload next year, how do you plan on balancing the responsibilities of the council and the workload?
The busiest part of the school year when you're on council is organizing Bob, and I have decent time management skills. I mean, IB has actually really helped me focus on or like schedule my week and like see what I need to do and when. And I'm sure that it won't be too difficult for me and most likely the rest of the council to plan out everything beforehand. Just plan out your week, plan out your time schedule, see when you can decide to do that activity organizing thing of who goes in what activity, which takes a really long time. But I think the most important thing is just managing your time in organizing your time schedule for the week.
So yeah, adding on to Claire's, like time management is really important, and I feel like now teachers are really pushing for us keeping a schedule, whether it's online or in a planner. So that will help a lot. And like for me personally, like if you're running for council, then you're really passionate about it, and you'd always make time for stuff that you're passionate about.
Any other questions? That's it? Okay. Thank you to everyone who has attended this year's presidential debate. A special thank you to our candidates for answering questions which weren't necessarily the easiest. Let's give them a round of applause. Woo!